Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we've got some more big news in the Hearthstone world. They're going to get 10 new cards introduced into the game, which is quite interesting, and also 2 cards going to the Hall of Fame. So let's take a look at them. First up, let's take a look at the 2 cards moving to the Hall of Fame, and that is Vanish for Rogue and Mind Blast for Priest. So these 2 cards have been around since the start of Hearthstone, and now they're moving to the Hall of Fame, which, remember, that just means they're moving out of Standard. You can still play them in Wild, but they're no longer available in Standard. And to be honest, I think that's a bit of a loss for Rogue. Not so much Priest at the moment, but for Rogue, Vanish is pretty playable at the moment, especially in Pogo Rogue or with Lackeys. It works pretty good. But Blizzard decided that they wanted to align the classes more with their identities, and they don't see Rogue as having big board clears as part of their identity. And I think that's kind of fair. Mind Blast, on the other hand, they didn't want Priest to have excessive damage to your opponent's face. And I think Mind Blast, they're probably moving that to the Hall of Fame with future cards in mind. Because like I said, it's not really that in the game much in Standard right now, but maybe they're looking at the next expansion and the expansion afterwards, certain cards that are coming in and thinking, look, we can't have this with Mind Blast, so let's move it into Hall of Fame, and it opens up design space for Priest, which I think is quite a good thing. I probably won't miss these 2 cards. We've played with them so much, and like with Priest, for example, every time new cards come out, you look at Priest instantly, you're like, okay, what can I do with Valen, what can I do with Malagos, and what can I do with Mind Blast? And if you take them out of the game, then we'll have to explore other avenues with those classes. So pretty interesting. They haven't said when this is going to happen, just it's going to happen in the next update, which I think will be pretty soon, to be honest. So alongside that, at the same time as those Hall of Fame rotations, we will be getting 10 new cards, and this card is probably the most interesting. This is called Brightwing. It's a 3-mana neutral legendary minion going into the classic set. And it's a 3/2 dragon with the battle cry, add a random legendary minion to your hand. So you can compare this kind of to Madame Lazul, but with a bit of a worse effect, I would say, because we know random legendaries can be terrible. There's a lot of bad legendaries. They often have very specific synergies, so if you get a random one, it might not synergize with your deck very well. I wish this was kind of battle cry, add a random dragon to your hand, because then this is quite a cool card to go into dragon decks. Yes, it can still go in dragon decks, and it's always good to have more dragons. So, yeah, this one's pretty interesting. Not an incredibly powerful card. Not one you want to go out and craft. But as with all of these cards we'll look at, none of them are going to be very powerful. They're all going into the classic set, and Blizzard doesn't want to put something in the classic set that is going to have to Hall of Fame again in like 6 months. So there's a bit of a theme here. But this one's really cool. I really like the art and the theme of it. I can see new players, if this is one of your first legendaries you open, you think it was quite cool because you get a random legendary to play with as well. So not a bad card. The next legendary is High Inquisitor Whitemane. This is a 7 mana, 6 attack, 8 health minion with the battle cry, summon all friendly minions that died this turn. So it's very similar to Kel'Thuzad, but not as good. It does only cost 7 mana, and it can be very situationally very, very good. Let's just say you've got a few big minions on the board and you manage to trade them in and they die. When you play this, you get them back, and that is huge value. But ultimately, it's a one-off copy in your deck. That relies on your opponent having certain minions on the board, and because it's 7 mana, you can't play much else with it. So, you know, it's a very kind of it is a neutral legendary, but I mean, it's neutral power level in terms of its abilities. But some pretty cool implications. Ultimately, I don't think it will see much play at all. It's not the sort of card you would craft. Maybe in certain specific decks with playing big minions. But apart from that, I don't think it will, because it's a battle cry effect. It's not an end of turn effect like we see with some other cards. So kind of interesting, but not amazing. Next up, we've got another neutral card. This one's a neutral epic called Baron Stablehand. Battle cry, summon a random beast, 7 mana, 4/4. So it's like a Spiteful Summoner, except much worse, unfortunately. Yes, there are some good beasts you can summon, but honestly, no. You don't want to pay 7 mana to put 4/4 on the board that could summon your a Springpaw or something like that. So, oh man, yeah, this one is not very good, I don't think. Yes, you can high roll it, but are you really going to high? Most beasts are generally lower cost. There are some big beasts, but no, I think this is on the lower end of the scale. Next up, let's take a look at a paladin card called Righteousness. This is a 5 mana spell. It's rare and it gives your minions Divine Shield. This I don't think is very good. It does have uses. If you can give Divine Shield to 3 or more minions, then I think it would probably be worth it, especially if you can make efficient trades and that minion survives. Let's say if you have three cost minions on the board, and the trades would kill them off. If you play this and they survive, that's kind of like a 9 mana play if you look at it that way. But is it really strong enough? I don't know. We probably need more Divine Shield synergies, like the Rallying Blade, for example, which would give your Divine Shield minions +1/+1. There aren't too many Divine Shield synergies in the game right now, so maybe in future expansions we'll see some better synergies. But right now it's kind of like a win. If you're already winning, it's a good card to win more, because you need minions on the board for it to be good. So another kind of okay card. Next up is a druid spell for 8 mana called Gift of the Wild. It gives your minions +2/+2 and taunt, but it costs 8 mana. This is an extremely expensive card. I think it's way too slow for what it's trying to do. Level Up did the same thing in Paladin, and that was only 5 mana at the time. It did get nerfed, but it's rotated out now. So I don't see this actually being played. Now, the Forest Aid is a spell in the game at the moment for Druid, which costs 8 mana and summons 5 2/2 treants with Taunt. That also costs 8 mana, and initially that seemed like quite a bad card, but the fact that it's Twin Spell and the fact that all the other cards you can put into Token Druid, it kind of worked. I don't see Gift of the Wild being really that good though, because if you've got nothing on the board, you can't play it. But if you've got nothing on the board, you can play your Forest Aid. Now, if you've got them both in your hand, you could play Forest Aid first, then this the next turn, and it's pretty good. There's always going to be a situation where this will work in Token Druid. But do you want a copy of Forest Aid and a copy of this in your deck? Because if you're drawing this too early, that's what kills Token Druid. If you're not playing cards on you, if you're not playing lots of minions in early turns, it kills your deck. So I don't really see this as a good card. I imagine there will be some decks at some point which will use it, but you're not going to put 2 copies of this in your deck. So pretty weak in my opinion. Next up is Si7 Infiltrator, which is neutral, 4 mana, 5 attack, 4 health, battlecry, destroy a random enemy secret. I like this card. I really think we need tech cards for secrets, and this one of 4 mana, 5/4 stats is good. You could play this. So I think in any meta where secrets become quite heavy, I think this will be played. And actually, this might even be played in the current meta against Secret Hunter. So yeah, I like this card. I'm so happy that they're actually doing secret tech, because there have been certain metas where secrets were just running rampant, especially with explosive runes in Mage at that time. And having actually a playable tech card which doesn't make your deck too much weaker is just good. And destroying a random enemy secret is really, really nice. So I'm happy this is in the game. It's going to a classic set, which also means it won't rotate out. So there will always kind of be something to fight against secrets, which I like. Next we have Arcane Devourer. This is an 8 mana 5/5 elemental, which could be important that it's an elemental, not right now, but maybe in the future. Whenever you cast a spell, gain +2/+2. So this has the same effect as kind of like a Questing Adventurer, except you have to use it with spells, and Questing Adventurer only costs 3 mana. So do you really... And this gains +2/+2, Questing Adventurer only 1/+1. So there are key differences, but on the turn that you play this, do you really want to only play 2 spells and then make it an 8 mana 9/9? If your opponent removes it, it's a bit slow. This is the sort of card that if you could cheat it out early, maybe you would get some elemental recruit mechanics. Maybe this is just a cool card that randomly generates off of all the random cards in Hearthstone, and suddenly it's quite good because it's on your board and you can cast spells. But there are Mage decks at the moment which play lots of small spells, because this expansion really introduced some small spells for Mage. It could work really well, but this just doesn't fit in that deck. It's just too expensive. So I don't really see this being very strong unless it can be cheated out. Next up, we've got a promising card for Rogue. This is called the Plaguebringer. 4 mana, 3 attack, 3 health minion, battlecry, give a friendly minion poisonous. So we saw this before with the Plague Doctor, very similar, well, the same effect, different stats and mana cost, and that saw some play. This one I think could work. Obviously, in Hunter, the missile launcher works very well when you give it poisonous. Well, now Rogue can do the same. You just give the missile launcher poisonous, and you've got a board clear. Also, Wild Pyromancer would do the same thing. But even if you just put this on one minion, just like a lackey, you've got lackeys on the board, you can give your 1/1 lackey poisonous to kill a minion on your opponent's side. It's very strong. And it's not even a combo requirement, it's just a battle cry. So I think this one could see some play. You know, in the current meta, big mage, they've got loads of giants that they play off and get Conjurer's Calling. Maybe this is a way that you can fight it with Rogue. Sap's pretty good in that situation, but often they played a lot of spells. The Grave Horrors just get replayed, or the Mountain Giants get replayed the next turn. So this could be a way just to eliminate them from the game permanently. So a pretty nice card. The stats are a little bit weaker, but the effect of getting poisonous is massive. I think Toxfin is a better card, but that requires pretty much only to go in a Murloc deck. And the reason that's better is because it's only 1 mana. This is a bit more expensive, but I think in the right kind of instances, this could be pretty cool. Next, we've got Radiance, a 1 mana spell for Priest. Restore 5 health to your hero. This card's pretty bad, honestly. It fits in with the flavor of Priest. You want to be healing, but the problem is, if this was restore 5 health, then maybe it would see some play, but restore 5 health to your hero just isn't strong enough. How many decks really want this? Probably none, to be honest. Now, yes, if you're playing this, maybe you're playing Nomi Priest. You're playing this with Gadget and Auctioneer. Yes, maybe it could, because restoring 5 health to your hero could be quite good, and just a cycle spell that's really cheap could be really good. But at the moment, they have loads of 0 mana spells, so I don't really think you want this. Unfortunately, because it's just restore 5 health to your hero, when you have effects like Arcanized Soul Priest to make your healing effects deal damage, you can't use it on your opponent, so it's just useless in that instance unless you want to damage yourself for whatever reason. So not a very good card, this one. I don't think, unless you're particularly looking for cycle spells, it's not going to see play. And finally, I think we've got another bad card. This is the Seedbreaker, 7 mana 5/8 demon. Your other demons have +1 attack. I don't think it's very good. It does have Taunt as well, which can have a positive. But if you're playing a deck that plays lots of imps, then there's better ways, like Grim Rally, to give your minions +1 attack. +1/+1 with the Grim Rally. It just doesn't seem like a zoo deck doesn't want to put a 7-drop in that only has 5 attack and buffs your other demons if they're still on the board. It's not really something that's going to work, in my opinion. Refarm Scheme is, I mean, it works with Refarm Scheme, but who's really playing that? I don't see this as being something. But it's a classic card, so if you're a free-to-play player and you're playing Zoo and you haven't got all the cards, maybe this is one that you've randomly picked up and you put in, and it does work. It would work in a Zoo deck. It would work in quite a few Warlock decks, but just not in the right way that you'd want it. So this is like, if you were to star it, you'd probably give it 2 stars out of 5. I don't think it's a very good card at all. Alright, that's it. So that's all the cards. Some pretty interesting things. Like I said before, Blizzard doesn't want to be introducing really hugely powerful minions or spells or anything into the classic set because they're around forever. So these need to be balanced cards which can supplement other cards when they're played. And also for new players to get introduced into the game, these are the sort of cards that they're going to be picking up first. And some of them would be quite exciting. And sometimes it's good for new players to have a bad card so that they can learn why it's bad, so they can learn more about the game. So yeah, interesting, really interesting changes. And Blizzard's coming thick and fast with these changes into the game. These ones, I don't see much impact to the meta. There might be 1 or 2 that we see in there, but not too many. And the Hall of Fame nerfs as well, that's really come out of the blue for me, to be honest. Vanish and Mind Blast, but 2 I'm fairly comfortable with. I think Rogue will miss Vanish quite a lot, but in the future maybe we'll see some cards that can replace it. But alright guys, well, let me know in the comments what you think about these changes. Do you like them? Do you think they changed the right cards? What about the new cards that have been introduced? It's always interesting to hear what you guys think. I'm ultimately quite comfortable. I think it's all quite good, and I really like change in this game. But thanks for watching the video. Hopefully we'll see some more exciting news again soon, and I'll see you in the next video.